see something.
It's this big. Yeah. We just start walking.
Okay.
Hello there. This was not the plan yesterday, but it's the reality today. Happens in life, right? This was not the plan yesterday, but it's the reality today. And you're seeing the sunrise over the Damascus Gate. And according to, what would you call them, connoisseurs or people who appreciate, who value, what would be the word for that? People who, would write a review of the beauty of things or the goodness of things, scholars or people of art, people of, like wine tasters would read a review, So, it's something I didn't realize before, and I'm just noticing it right now, is the ivy on the Damascus Gate. All this ivy growing up along it.
Almost looks English.
Yeah. So we're at the Damascus Gate and the sun is coming through. We started out a few minutes ago, and we're going to be outside of the sun's view at this time now as we continue walking, because we are close to the wall, and we're heading down towards the Kidron Valley, and we're doing this because of a special circumstance. I had extraordinary visitors yesterday, actually a lot of visitors. The whole day was with visitors. And yesterday evening was the longest, probably about 4 hours. I couldn't believe it afterwards, and I looked at the watch and said, how long were we together? And so along with me here is a pastor, and his name is Vance Patterson.
Good morning.
Maybe some of you know him. How long ago is it since you had the first view of Sunrise Stroll and Chat, Pastor Vance?
It was early when you first began. It was in 2020.
In March.
It was, yes, then and then later. I started watching it on a daily basis in November and December of 2020 from a hospital bed.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, actually, you mentioned something like this yesterday, and I couldn't put the math together because I thought, had COVID reached the U.S. in March 2020, but I don't think so, right?
It had. Well, yes, it had just started. We just got our first shutdown in March of 2020.
Oh, also, yeah, like we did then.
Came to the West Coast in December of 2019, and then picked up speed throughout the spring of 2020.
Have you ever been in that tunnel?
Many years ago.
Yeah, it's
yes.
a very, very long tunnel that goes way deep inside. And I was at an event that was organized by, I forget the name of the organization right now exactly, and it was a very powerful, loud music event. Was the only thing I didn't like about it. You could hardly hear it.
Yeah.
But I was invited by some friends, and it was interesting to get in there. It was at nighttime and had all these little candles on the ground, little pathway into the place where they had all the music, and they put in furniture and everything.
And that was one of the quarried areas along this cliff face?
Yeah, I think it was also part of strategy for defense and everything. Maybe it was the result of quarry, but it was also a very useful resource as a space.
And then this is the quarried area that...
Yeah, you have all this stone alongside the wall built on top of the natural rock. So, I often mention to you about, I think Notre Dame is out of sight now. We could have turned back to see it, but that's okay. We'd have had a different perspective on Notre Dame. But it's the same rock, you see, the same rock as Jerusalem limestone, so it's just that beautiful limestone. Yes. Just a little detail here, guys. We normally don't cover this too much, but if you look here, you have the rock that's in the area of the garden tomb. So,
you see the two eyes?
Yes. So you have the skull impression people see in the rock, and attribute that to the meaning of Golgotha.
It's a bus station today.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
One of the things I like about going to visit the Garden Tomb is it kind of it has a lot of...
This is Jerusalem rock, Jerusalem limestone.
Yes. One of the things I enjoy about bringing people from the U.S. to go to the Garden Tomb
Right.
is you can see the environment, the garden, the rock,
Exactly.
the
Right.
tombs.
You can understand the kind of
Yeah.
space.
It helps. I think it's interesting to go back to the Holy Sepulchre or go before
Yes.
and then again after.
Right. Right.
And then,
It's educational.
Yes, and then to respect the history of the sepulchre
Right.
and archaeologically as well. But visually, it's nice to see.
Well, we're already seeing two other phenomena here as we walk that we see from the rooftop of Notre Dame. So the main piece here in the center is the Rockefeller Museum just above my finger. And it kind of marks the northeastern corner of the old city as a visual marker. We'll notice that more as we round the corner down there, and we'll get the sunrise back into view.
I love this museum.
Yes,
you can touch.
Archaeological, yeah.
Yeah, it's a laid back.
Mm-hmm.
I think after 1967, it hasn't seen as much attention.
Activity, right,
which
right.
is sad.
Actually, it's a major depot of archaeology, and it's scientific study of archaeology as well there.
Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah. Magdala stone was housed there for a while.
Oh, no kidding.
In the early stages, when they took it from Magdala, they brought it to the Rockefeller Museum, and they were studying it there.
Is that when they were really determining what
Yeah, they were doing all the studies, exactly, yeah.
What year was that, roughly?
2009. So this is the Herod Gate in English, but in Arabic it's Bab al-Ward, and I think it's also Shar HaPrahim. Maybe there's a sign for it. The Bab al-Ward, right? Bab al-Ward. You don't
Bab al-Zahri.
Bab al-Zahri.
Yeah.
Bab al-Zahri, but also Bab al-Ward.
Bab al-Sahara.
Zahri.
The correct
Is that
is
is that
Bab
the-
al-Sahara.
Does that mean the flower? No.
No, it's the desert, the Sahara Desert.
No, not Sahara. Sahara.
Yeah, it's Efoteh.
Ah.
No, but Efoteh is Sahara.
Roses,
Roses, yes.
roses,
Thank you.
the flower.
Roses, the flower. So Bab al-Ward also, no?
Bab al-Ward.
Is that good?
What is good?
The name Bab al-Ward or Bab al-Sahara?
Bab al-
Also Bab al-Ward. Habibi. Good morning. God bless you. Shukran.
Lovely morning. Peace morning.
Yes. We want peace day, peace year, peace always. So we're in a very intense Palestinian area, very friendly people, and that was nice. So they call it in the local here the Bab al-Sahara, the gate of the roses. So that guy came to my defense because I knew there was a flower, and they actually call it Bab al-Ward.
Yeah, the flower gate.
And it's also called that in Hebrew. It's called, we can go in over the chin, or maybe there's a place down here we can go through.
Did you keep up? Yeah, I don't know you were living in Magdala, but do you know what's under this area that's been recovered with asphalt? What they discovered under here?
I didn't follow the detail at all.
It was they were rebuilding the road
Right.
for the last 3 years.
Right.
And they dug it up
Uh-huh.
and they found a Crusader wall
Uh-huh.
below there, and it had a unique inside of the stone, not
Mm-hmm.
fashioned like ceramic, but stone handprints.
Ah.
And it was quite a find. And they quickly so
this
that
is like this
they
part
could get
here.
back to driving cars. But right underneath us is an archaeological find.
Uh-huh. So that'd be 800-900 years old.
Yes. Interesting. And of course, it was like Magdala. Everything had to
Sabah
stop
al-Khair. Yes.
until they decided what to do.
Right. Sabah al-Khair. Sabah al-Khair. Sabah is morning. Sabah al-Khair, good morning, great morning, blessed morning. Sabah al-Nur is the answer. It's a morning of light. And if you say Sabah al-Nur, you might get an answer. Sabah al-Ward, it's morning of flowers. And if you say Sabah al-Ward, you might get an answer. Sabah al-Jasmine,
Such a
a
beautiful
morning,
language.
a morning of jasmine flowers.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's great to be able to sing the praises of the other, to recognize the goodness in the other.
Oh yeah.
And it's essential because imagine in a family, if there's a family member and you can only talk bad about them, and you only do talk bad about them no matter how much good they have.
Right. It will not make for a very happy family.
Exactly. You know, I have an idea. We're not going to go down into the Gethsemane Valley now. We'll come by the wall here. And that'll open up the view for us for the sunrise. So here are the old walls, people. This is a different kind of a stroll this morning, and the freedom I have to do it is that our schedule changed with the change of clocks. Finally, the Palestinian and Israeli clocks are in the same time, and so we have an extra hour before we have morning prayer, so I can get back on time for our community prayer together before breakfast.
If we get too far away, we'll have to be going uphill pretty fast, right?
Yeah, no, it's okay. So then over here we have the Augusta Victoria. That tower there is a wonderful cancer hospital there. It's all run by the World Lutheran Federation. And Augusta Victoria was the wife of Kaiser Wilhelm. And he came to Jerusalem to dedicate the Lutheran Church, the Redeemer Church, back at about 115 years ago.
Was that was after the Austrian hospice was built? Or was that during the same time?
No, I think the Austrian hospital was ahead of that.
Maybe 1860s or
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was definitely.
There we have Hebrew University Tower up there. No, sorry. Let me do this right here. That's Augusta Victoria, and Hebrew University Tower is over here, just behind that bush. So you know what? We can go right up here just to start here, and we can take it from there then. So Pastor Vance is here in Jerusalem visiting with two other pastors, and this was nice to come together here this morning. So now we have another view of the sunrise, which actually is just really up over the Mount of Olives from this perspective, because we're closer to the Mount of Olives. And here we're looking over the Kidron Valley. Because of the intensity of the light, it won't be too easy to see it. And we'll probably move down this way a little bit, because that way we will avoid the traffic, the noise of the traffic. It'll be a little easier to speak. And here now you've never seen this in a sunrise stroll and chatter. I don't know when we did it. The wall here from the eastern side, and just from over here then it's a graveyard, the Muslim graveyard. And one morning I was doing a sunrise stroll in chapel, walking this direction. We're going the opposite direction now, and there was a man praying at the tomb of his recently bereaved mother, and it was just so precious and so tender, and there you realize that at the end of the day all the divisions crumble when we face death together. This is the entrance, one of the entrances to the Muslim graveyard. We won't go in there now.
That reminds me of when Jesus was going into Nain, coming into the city,
exactly.
And coming out.
Right.
The widow who had lost her son, and it was a collision of life meets death.
Yes.
And the equalizing factor in grief.
Exactly. So today now we have a little bit more quiet. We can talk about the readings, and we're heading down to the Lion's Gate here. And so we have special readings today off the normal routine, because of the memory today of two of the apostles, Simon and Jude. Jude meaning, it's actually the same name as Judas. It's just named that way in the English language, and some languages do it differently, just to distinguish him from Judas Iscariot. And there were two apostles named Judas, which is interesting, and people attribute this to the fact, 2 out of 12 attribute this to the fact, and we have two James. So they think this is because of the influence of the hero Judas Maccabee, and that became a very popular name then for baby boys in the following century, That was just a century and a bit before Jesus, when that conflict had reached its peak. So what do we have there, Vance, in the reading?
We have one is Ephesians 2 verses 19 to 22.
It's a kind of a more it's a softer text, and sometimes it's used for the apostles, because sometimes it's the text Paul says, and we apostles are at the end of the line. And they're going through all the sufferings.
Right.
So the role of the apostles wasn't necessarily one of glory. It was one of the witness, the cost of witness to Jesus. You know, first of all, the grace of knowing Jesus, and then the cost of witness to him.
Yes.
So, do you have any good line you'd like to comment there, Pastor Vance?
You know, so Ephesians 2 is such a powerful passage, and, you know, doctrinally and in all ways. It's also a peace passage because we learn just before this that Jesus came to knock down the wall of hostility.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Between Jew and Gentile. So there's all this. And in Ephesians 1, Paul, everybody thinks he's so heady, and he is, but he says something quite mystical, which I love. In Ephesians 1, as he gets into this big, deep letter to the Ephesians, he says, I pray that you will see with the eyes of your heart.
Uh-huh.
And I love that Paul said that.
You know, that reminds me, I want to recommend to you, I don't know if I did it yet this past week, there's a new letter out called The Lexit Notes, He Loved Us. And this letter is about the heart, and it's amazing. I'm not sure if I have the link still posted here actually on this. So he sees to see with the eyes of the heart.
In a sense, you know, I'm just going to pick. You said, you know, just pick one sentence. He says through him, this Jesus, through him, the whole structure is held together. The structure of the
body,
church, the body of Christ, and it grows into a temple sacred in the Lord, and we're getting close to the Temple Mount. But a temple.
That's a very powerful word here in this area, temple, yeah.
Yes, sacred in the Lord. This is the church. In him you also, each of us, are built together into a dwelling place of God in the Spirit.
This is where I met that man around here. There was some little gate maybe just a little bit further up. And he was just coming out, and he showed me then the tomb of his mother.
What a sacred moment.
Yeah. So go ahead with the temple here, Vance.
So he says, then he changes from the body to the individual.
Uh-huh.
And in him, you also are being built together into a dwelling place of God in the Spirit.
You know, this also reminds me of that other text with the temple and the apostles in Revelation, that the New Jerusalem, which basically, it's like you say Washington, you talk about the capital. You're not thinking about the other suburbs. Or you say New York, you think about Manhattan, you don't think about the whole state or even the whole city with all the boroughs. You think Manhattan, the skyscrapers.
Right.
And so when you say Jerusalem, you're not thinking about the whole extent of Jerusalem at that time. You're thinking especially about the temple.
Yes, that's a good point.
Although that will be itemized then in the description of in the book of Revelation, but this whole the sacredness of the heavenly Jerusalem is sitting on the 12 apostles.
Yes.
So there we have the halo of the sun, if you will, now blocked by the Mount of Olives again. As we arrive here, down here you have Gethsemane at the end of this road, and here we have the Lion's Gate. And why is it called the Lion's Gate? Because of these lions up here. Let me show you. And you have two also on the other side that are blocked by this shelter. You have two more there underneath it.
This is the gate that the majority of the community that's Arab and Palestinian community enter into for prayer.
Yes.
Sometimes by the tens of thousands you'll see people coming
Yes.
in.
So I think we've been on quite a bit of time. I don't really remember how much, but we probably started around, we're probably on 20 minutes already, or the most of it. So I don't want to make it too long.
Yes.
Do you have any other little thought, maybe from the Psalm?
Yeah.
Their message goes out through all the earth. So without the 12 apostles, we would not know Jesus. That's the historical fact.
Yes.
Isn't this nice? An electric car, because it's the noise level is down.
I'm afraid I'll step in front of it.
Yeah, because you don't hear it.
So this is Psalm 19, verses 2 and 3, 4 and 5, and it's responsive. It's a responsive prayer.
Their message goes out to all the earth, through all the earth.
The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Day pours out the word of day, and night to night imparts knowledge.
That's beautiful. You know, the nature is communicating God's glory, and then the apostles and every disciple afterwards is also communicating it. That's why they go together so well. Not a word or a discourse.
whose voice is not heard. Through all the earth their voice resounds, and to the ends of the world their message. You know, one of the things that was so touching to me when I came here with a group of pastors
Yes.
was when a blind Palestinian man who had converted from Islam to Christianity told them in Arabic he's so thankful that they came to Bethlehem because it helped his faith to know that the gospel had got to the ends of the earth, us in Colorado.
Wow.
And you could have heard a pin drop, and it
Wow.
repositioned our mind about what do we mean by ends of the earth. We each are.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and isn't it interesting that the ancient church here sees that as joyfully proving the point that the gospel is powerful. It worked.
It worked.
It
It
got
worked.
to us in Ireland and Texas and
Wow.
everywhere else.
Wow. Wow. Absolutely. People, this will be a unique selfie moment here when we sign off. It's a different sunrise stroll and chat this morning, but I hope you enjoyed it. We'll do a little Instagram post now as well. So God bless you. Here we say Pastor Vance, and I will say goodbye at the Lion's Gate. This gate also has 6 other names. The Sheep Gate. It has the name of St. Anne's Gate because of the church here beside it. And it has, right now I'm stupid for the rest of the names. We leave it like that.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me to walk with you.
Oh, I'm
It means the
delighted.
world to me.
It was really a stroll and a chat this morning.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Many times it's a monologue. I'm trying to think
No.
of it.
Well, I'm hoping that I didn't mar it with